Are we gonna have her? Good evening, everybody, and welcome to this latest episode of the Nerd Ensemble. See, folks, I've stopped counting a long time ago, and I don't even know how to go back and figure out how many we've done. We'll figure that out. But for right now, this is the latest episode of the Nerd Ensemble. And I'm Don Kovac, one of your co-hosts, and I'm here with my much more awesomer co-host, Mr. Brett Dean. How are you, birthday boy?
Oh, so old. So
Oh,
old. Speak
man.
louder, Sonny. Speak louder.
All right. Now, you know who my office mates are over at the school, yeah? Okay. I have banned them from saying things like "I'm too old," "Just wait till you're my age," blah blah blah. So,
Oh
just
man.
saying.
Yeah, I know. I know who you share that office with, and yeah, that they do say that a lot, don't they?
Yeah. And you work with them for a whole period.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, that's we just can't
That's
have it.
funny. We say
You
that with
know,
love. We
I
say it
do.
with love.
I know. We
You
do.
know.
It's a thing we have. I charge them $1 for every time they say it. There's too many dollars.
Before
And
we
if
get
there's
going on a slightly serious note, we should acknowledge that in the world, we seem to go from one major catastrophe to the next. Of course, right now, as we do this show from the comfort of our heated and well ventilated and we have with hot water and all that jazz homes, we give our hearts and thoughts to the people in Ukraine who are suffering from that terrible invasion. They have much bigger things to worry about than what technologies around the corner. So as of this show, it's a very current thing, and we want to give our thoughts that way.
Yes, I couldn't agree more. Well said, sir. And I definitely hope that the people of Ukraine are able to be the resistance and
Hmm.
and survive well. We hope nothing but the best for them.
Hmm.
Um, well said. Um, so tonight we are expecting, even though oddly enough there was not invitations sent out today to press. Um, we expect that this coming Tuesday, March 8th, there will be an Apple event, and we have predictions. So this is going to be our March 2022 event predictions episode, and we're going to do things a little bit differently. Brett's not feeling 100%, and we
Nope.
want to make sure we get him to bed at a reasonable time. So we have 4 topic areas that we're going to go through. The first one is iPad. Second one is iPhone. Third one is the Mac. Fourth one is wildcard, other, whatever you might think of coming up in that time. But since we're such Apple nerds, we are going to go ahead and we're going to absolutely set a timer using. I don't know even how I did that.
That sounded like you planned it, Don. That was amazing.
I just tried to pick up the HomePod Mini,
Yeah,
and then that happened.
that was
So,
cool. Own it, man. That was
well,
awesome.
I'll pretend.
Okay.
So I'm going to set a 5-minute timer for each topic to make sure that we hold to said timer. And then, of course, when we hear the HomePod say your timer is up, then we shall move on to the next topic. So before we get started, thank you all for tuning into this episode, and hopefully you will find this interesting and as fun as we do. All right. So we're going to start out with iPad because iPad is something that's on our list, but it's not always the top of our list, especially nowadays. Despite Brett, how you liking your iPad Mini?
Actually, I'm loving it. It's the exact right size. It's a great media consumption device. I haven't really used it for creating anything, uh, but having had it for a few months now, it's nice to have a mini again. I had a mini 2, a mini 4. Those have been passed on to the kids because they're pretty old. Um, but having that mini form factor and size is a great reading in bed kind of thing, end of the day kind of device, and it's fabulous. And it can do so much more. To be honest, I know it's got Pencil 2 support. Um, it's
Do you
got
even have a
USB.
pencil too?
I don't know. Um, I never had a Pencil 1. I've never. Yeah, I know. I know. Um, yeah, I've never really used the Apple Pencil, but you know, it's okay because I my iPad is not destined for that kind of stuff. It's just destined to live life as a movie watching, Wikipedia reading kind of device, for probably a really long time. When I think about the fact that my son's iPad Mini 4, which was mine, and I passed on down to him, is what that device came out in 2014. It's ancient now.
Maybe 2015, 26.
Okay,
Because the most recent one, the Mini 5, before this new one was 2019, I think. Although
let
you might
me.
be looking that up.
I'm looking it
Um,
up because holy. Okay, so yeah, you were right on the money. September 2015. So that
Ooh.
device is 7 years old, and it's still getting updates as if it was just purchased. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So Apple, I mean, good luck, Samsung friends. You're not going to get updates for 7 years. Um,
No.
but if you buy
No.
an iOS device, there's a good chance. You're probably at least going to get 4 or 5 minimum. Um, but yeah, that baby's going on 7 years old,
It's on
and
iOS 15.
yeah, it's running the newest one, and
Nice.
my kid plays stuff from the Apple Arcade
Mm-hmm.
quite a bit, and there hasn't been a single game from there, at least, that the thing won't run or gets uh, jittery on. It
Nice.
runs it fine.
That's great. Well, I'm
Yeah,
glad you're liking your Mini. I mean,
yeah.
certainly it's an awesome device. My iPad Pro from 2016, my 9.7 inches, still kicking, and my kid was
Hmm.
playing Minecraft on it over the weekend, and it's running. I mean, it's slow in some ways, but it still runs Minecraft, so we'll take it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Um, well, good man. I'm glad to hear that. Anyway, all right. So I'm gonna set the timer. Do you want me to go first? Or you want to go first on iPad
No, go
predictions?
ahead. Go ahead. Set
Okay.
that timer and get cooking.
Let's do it. Hey Siri, set a 5-minute timer.
5 minutes. Counting down.
There we go. All right.
Nice.
So Siri has made an appearance. Okay. So hopefully that didn't set off any of your Apple devices. Anyway, iPad. So really the biggest thing that I'm predicting for this event, if it happens on Tuesday or whenever it happens, maybe it's next, who knows? I hope it's next Tuesday because I'm excited. But anyway, I'm expecting the only thing on the iPad end that I would be predicting, according to the rumors, is an updated iPad Air. The most recent generation was released in September of 2020. No, sorry, 2020. Excuse me. And it got the more iPad Pro design, with the in-button Touch ID as well as Apple Pencil 2 support. So that was the first iPad where we
Mhm.
saw the 2018 and newer iPad Pro design language filter down to another iPad. It is, I want to say, still 9.7 inches diagonally, but because the bezels are smaller, it does feel like a smaller device.
Mhm.
It is on the A14 chip, I want to say. It does not have 5G support. So I would expect the cellular version of that to get bumped so that we have cellular support in the 5G realm now that everything else is 5G. And of course, it should hopefully contain the A15 chip. Will give it a nice performance boost, and for a good entry level regular sized iPad, I would say that's a really good device. So that's the only thing that I'm expecting with that. What do you think about that prediction?
You know, I've come to never argue with you when it comes to all things iPad. I don't think that would be smart for me to do because I think you've got me beat there. Um yeah, the only thing is, could it come into parity with the iPad Pro in terms of getting Face ID? What do you think about that?
I don't think it's going to happen, especially because that was
No.
the first one to feature the in-button Touch ID.
You think they'll just stick with it? They'll stick with that?
For a bit, yeah. I mean, I could see eventually, yes, iPads and oh boy, I can't wait for the first Face ID Mac, man.
Mhm.
But that's another show. Um, I feel like iPads are even better for Face ID than iPhones in terms of just looking at the device, not having to touch anything,
Mhm.
and having my 9.7 inch, or sorry, my 12.9 inch 2018 iPad Pro. Like, it's just easy. Swipe up, checks my face, boom.
Mhm.
Um, so yes, I think it's going to happen, but it would be really shocking to me that the iPad Air gets that button in 2020, and
Mhm.
then 18 months later they made a big deal about it in that event too, and then it filters down to the iPad Mini 6 that you
Mhm.
have, and then all of a sudden, boom, one generation, boom, gone.
Right.
That would
And
surprise me.
I think also too, I think the iPad Pro first has to get a horizontal camera. I wonder if they move it
Oh
that way.
man,
You know what I mean? You
can't
gotta get
wait.
that. You
Yeah,
gotta
that
get that.
that I mean, they're just, I don't know what they're waiting for on that. I agree with you, man.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous.
Um, do you think the plain iPad will get any love?
Not this time around. It was just refreshed in the fall, with the center stage camera, and my
Mhm.
kids got one of those now, and so every time I have a FaceTime with them, it's got the and I'm like, whoa, look at that.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I don't expect that. And of course,
Mhm.
your iPad Mini has that too.
Mhm.
Um, I don't expect that this time around.
Yeah.
No, I think the most likely thing is just this iPad Air refresh, and that's it for
Yeah.
iPad.
Yep. Yep. I'm right with you on that one. All
Cool.
right.
Um, and I mean, I think the only thing left, since we only have since we have time left on our timer, I'd be curious to see what colors they have. I know you're not the biggest fan of the Starlight that you have on your Mini, and the Air was kind of fun in the way that it had colors. Hey
Mhm.
Siri, stop. How it had colors the first time, so it'll be cool to see if
Yeah,
what colors they
it's
bring out.
like the remnants of Apple as a fashion brand when they tried to really go that route with the watches. They still kind of do that with cases and things like that. And yeah, you're right.
And the iMacs that were released last year.
Right, the IMAX, definitely. Yeah, it's like their last little bit of vestiges of the we're gonna be a fashion icon too. So yeah, yeah, they could spring a whole bunch of different new pastel colors with really awesome names that that I'm sure somebody got paid 300 grand to come up with, like Starlight. Well,
Get me that gig.
yeah, oh
Um,
man, get me that gig.
right?
Oh,
But
I'll 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 give
fun
the
and
I'll give you the
fashion both
PG
start from
names
the same
and
word.
the R-rated names for
Okay,
all the different colors. Yep.
I'm sure you will. I can't wait. But hey, fun and fashion start with the same letter, so I'll say that. At any rate, all right. So the next thing we're going to move on to is the iPhone, and I'm going to go ahead and set another timer. Hey Siri, set a 5-minute timer.
5 minutes. Starting now.
All right. So, do you want me to start, or do you have thoughts here?
I like you starting. I like you
Okay.
starting. This is great.
So, the rumors that I've read and heard is the biggest thing is we're expecting in terms of the iPhone is a refreshed iPhone SE.
Mm.
I want to say this was last refreshed. Was it last year or 2 years ago in the spring? So it is currently the only iPhone on the market that is being sold as new. Well, no, that's not true. They're still selling the 11. Um,
That
but
doesn't
the
have
one of
5G.
the other that does not have 5G, right?
Mm-hmm.
So of course that requires a new modem. So we would expect that the modem in the current 13 series to move to that. And it would also probably move up to an A14 or an A15 chip to be brought more into the current age. I would expect it to keep the same $399 price tag, which is for folks who are looking for that good value iPhone.
Mm-hmm.
It's hard to argue with. But here's the question. The question is, well, I guess it's kind of two questions. Is one, do we see a new design? And two, and do we see Face ID?
Does it
What's
have to
your?
be a full screen in order to get Face ID?
I would suspect yes.
Okay. I'm not sure that's necessarily true. I think I've seen every once in a while they'll cram one of their really cool futuristic features into an and shoehorn it into an old body.
Such as, give me an example.
Oh God. Well, okay, you even mentioned the center stage camera kind of being shoehorned into the old button plain iPad.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so in the going on 10-year-old design of the iMac 27-inch, you know, things like the T2 chip.
It's more than 10 years old.
Yeah, it's ancient. But you know what I mean? Like they're not totally adverse to throwing in some new features into an old thing. So I don't know. I could see them doing something crazy like that just to keep it cheap. But what are you thinking?
I've heard and read rumors of it's going to keep the iPhone 8 design. It's going to stay the 4.7-inch screen, keep
Yeah.
the Touch ID home button. And then, of course, you know, if it does all of those things, what will it then? You know, what colors are we talking about? So there's that aspect. But over here in this column, you know, we've talked on this show about how my now beloved iPhone Mini
Mm-hmm.
is going to go away after this year, and we've talked. You've mentioned, well, what if that is the eventual
God, that's
design
what I would
for
do.
an iPhone SE,
Yep.
right?
Do that.
So, I mean, if I had to bet today, I would say it's going to keep the iPhone 8 design.
Mm-hmm.
And it's going to keep the physical home button, the Touch ID home button.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe an outside chance it gets the inside button Touch ID.
Uh-huh.
Outside chance. I would imagine the device would have to be made a little thicker. I could be wrong though. And of course, then it would have to adopt the flat sides like the iPhone 12 and forward series. Of course, the iPad Pro series as well, and the iPad Air series, and the mini, almost all the iPads. Pardon me.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm gonna put my money on 4.7. Hey Siri, stop. keeping the same screen size, same iPhone 8 body, updating the chip to the A15, modem to include 5G, and with that, there will be battery life improvements just because. And then it'll just be a matter of what colors are we looking at.
Yeah. That's the conservative guess, but with Apple, that's probably the good guess. You know what I mean? I think, yeah.
I mean, it's not
Yeah,
like they overhaul the iPad, the normal iPad colors every time they up it. No,
right, right. And there's this legacy of the inexpensive one retaining an old design,
right.
probably on purpose. You know, that it's the standout one that looks a little bit different, just a little bit cheaper, a little bit older. The thing is, the only thing that I could see swaying them into um, putting the current iPhone mini as the SE is because if you look at uh best of lists, like the best phone under $400, um those Android phones are feature packed nowadays.
Are they?
You can get a hell of a, I mean, you can get 120 hertz refresh rate on a 6.1 inch full
Really?
screen, um with under screen fingerprint, whatever. And now I'm not saying all that stuff works great, but specs wise, you know, if you're shopping via specs, which a lot of people do, um, is that tiny screen, the antiquated home button, things like that, it can start to look a little long in the tooth at this point, right? Um,
Sure.
so will they probably hang on to it? Yeah. Um, is it time to move on? Yeah.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, that's interesting. The Android and we I think, and then we got to move on here, but I think
Yeah.
we know that the iPhone is not necessarily trying to compete with Android in a lot of
Mhm.
ways, and that $399 iPhone, honestly, I think is the number one people who buy that buy it because of the Touch ID home button. They don't like Face ID for whatever reason.
Mhm.
I don't know why, but they don't, so they buy that one. And hey, hard to argue with.
Yeah. I mean, it's the
So
thing for parents and kids, to be honest with, you know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah,
And,
that's true.
you know,
Like
grandparent
here,
age parents. Yeah.
right here, I'm looking at a Motorola One 5G Ace. It's got 5G speed, triple camera setup, Qualcomm processor, 6.7-inch full HD plus display. So not
Mhm.
OLED or anything like that. For $299. Um, so I don't know what other features it has,
Do you
but
think they'll
yeah,
keep the SE2 around as a 299 device, as has been
or a
rumored very
199
recently?
device
Hmm.
could be. I
Yeah.
mean, that's hard to argue with. But anyway, all right, we're gonna move on because this is the section I know that's gonna get your energy pumping. Hey Siri, set a 5-minute timer.
5 minutes. Counting down.
All right, the Mac.
Can I go first on this one?
I please.
Okay. So I'm thinking we will see the long rumored 27-inch iMac replacement. It will have the help me out with the MacBook Pro processors. What do they have right now?
M1
The
Pro and the M1 Max.
M1 Pro and M1 Max. I think it'll have those. Um, I think we will see the same screen size. I think it'll still be a 27. I think we will see then a pivot over to a headless Mac, um, with no monitor. I don't know what they'll call it. It'll be probably a Mac Mini. They may do something crazy and just call it the Mac. You know what I mean? Just like the iPad is just the iPad, you know?
Okay.
So maybe it's just called the Mac. but we'll call it the Mac Mini. It'll get a slightly refreshed design. I hear it's reminiscent of the original Apple TV. I don't know if anybody had one of those. I did. It was an awesome design. It was
Wow.
the bright silver aluminum that Apple is well known for, the default color, and it had this cool glass or plexiglass top, and you could see translucent through it an Apple logo underneath, and it was quite a bit bigger and wider, about the size of, oh, I don't know, somewhere between a dinner plate and a side salad plate in width. I mean, it was pretty big,
Yeah,
very flat, and we might hear that style might make a reappearance. That would be cool. And gosh, processor wise, I don't know. Here's a place where they might introduce the M2, the non-pro processor, updated now after 18 months of M1. Yeah, I think those are the two biggies. Will other things see a refresh? It's possible. I can see the 13-inch MacBook Pro and MacBook Air getting updated to M2. That seems logical to me. And I think the wild card in the Mac space will finally come to fruition. Slightly to moderately overpriced for the feature set, but extremely elegant display
Okay.
of about 27 inches is my guess.
Apple Display. Okay.
Yeah.
That is a hefty bunch of predictions.
What do you think?
Yeah, I would agree on a lot of that. I'm still not sure on the 27-inch replacement coming this event. If there's an event, asterisk. But I do feel pretty confident that my little 13-inch MacBook Pro here is going to get replaced or updated rather to the M2 design. The 18-month time period does seem like a good way to do it. For some reason, I don't expect a MacBook Air because the rumors had said, the rumors that have been most recent have said that it's going to be a full redesign around the Apple Silicon generation. So I can see that happening actually in the fall, which is ridiculous because if I were them, I would do it in the summer and then sell a whole bunch to college kids going back to school and high school kids and whatnot. But I don't make decisions on that, I guess, for a reason.
They can weather that storm, It's like,
yeah,
hey son, keep your old one for another, and then you get it for Christmas, that kind of thing.
Right.
So
you're rocking an M1 MacBook Air, and it's still working great, isn't it?
Yeah.
And my
totally
13-inch MacBook Pro is still kicking it too. So those are perfectly fine computers. I do think the M2 MacBook Pro is going to be the most likely for this event. So just the same thing we've got right now, just put an M2 in it because it's occupying a price range that is not otherwise occupied. And you could argue, well, why in the world are they doing this? But it makes sense. Hey Siri, stop. And so it just seems to make sense to me. Second most likely is the Mac Mini. And curious enough, I did look at the Apple website. You can still buy the 3 gigahertz Intel Core i5 6-core processor. 6-core processor with Intel UHD graphics 630 512 storage. It does not have a designation. It's just the black colored Mac Mini that's further down the page. So yeah, I could see that also being updated with the M1 Pro, M1 Max options, and being just able to run circles around it. Thirdly, yes, I agree. Would be great to see that 27-inch iMac and then an accompanying display. If not that, then WWDC, and then we'll see the Mac Pro after WWDC. So, yep, that's a classic device right there.
And have you seen the pictures of the rumored?
Yeah, we
Mac Mini?
talked about it on the
It's
show. I remember
very
that.
similar to this. Very
Yeah.
similar.
Which it doesn't seem like it's necessary because on Apple Silicon they don't need
No, they don't.
what are they
need
going to do?
space.
Even on an M1 Max, okay, what are they going to put the M1 Dual Max in there?
The
Yeah,
tiny
and
little
then
fan that's in the MacBook Pro.
Right.
Right. Exactly.
Right. They did redesign the cooling solutions for those, but
Mhm.
still, it's not. Anyway, all right. So we got to move on because, and we can kind of throw the other and continue other conversations that may have come to mind. But I'm going to set that
Mhm.
5-minute timer. Hey Siri, set a 5-minute timer.
5 minutes. Starting now.
All right. So, do you expect anything else? Anything that we haven't discussed here?
Yeah, I mean, AirPods Pro are due for a refresh.
Oh yeah.
So it's possible that they could sneak that in there somewhere. I wonder if it'll just be a feature update rather than a redesign. I mean, you're more in tune with this zone than I am, but you know, I can see them staying the same and just getting a feature update so they can slip it in there. What are
They
you
could.
hearing on this?
I'm expecting later on this year.
Mm.
More the holiday season.
Mhm.
It makes sense because it has been so long.
Mhm.
And design wise, I am expecting that it's going to be more akin to my Beats Fit here without the little wing tip there.
Mhm.
So more self-contained, no stem, a la our
Mhm.
current AirPods Pro. Um,
I think we'll get
and
iOS something 15.4 that
yeah,
will include universal control.
yeah, that's got to happen. That makes
Yeah.
sense. It'll be Tim Cook, of course, is going to be standing somewhere different, as he always does. Sneeze.
Whoa!
That came out of left field. Sorry.
Pretty good save there. You didn't do it right under the mic. Gesundheit. Don, don't die.
I'm not going to die, but I might sneeze some more. Yeah, iOS 15.4 seems like a good choice because it does need to get done. We
Mhm.
know that they've already moved on to iOS 16 at this point, and they're really
Mhm.
ramping up for WWDC for that. That's a good call on that.
And the
I don't know,
corresponding Mac OS that'll go with that. Let's see, what would
yeah,
that be? 12.3?
12.4. Oh yeah,
4.
12.3. You're right. 3.
Okay.
You're right. 3. Which I'm running the beta on this. I'm playing. I haven't played with I completely forgot about Universal Cloud. All right, next show we're going to talk about that more.
Okay.
So yeah, that's the only things I'm expecting from this event.
Yeah.
Again, odd that they didn't send out invites today. That's odd.
I wonder if it's because of world events. They're deciding, is now a great time to do this, or should we just wait a couple weeks? Did I read that Apple suspended sales to Russia? Did I see that earlier today?
Maybe. I did not see.
Let me see. Apple suspends all product sales in Russia.
Yeah,
there you go.
you're right. Yeah.
That's big. That's a biggie.
Yeah, good for them. Oh,
That
looks
is
like
good
there
for
was
them.
another beta of 15.4 and 12.3 today. So I got the update.
Got some stuff to play around with there.
Yeah. So that's for sure. So we'll look on that. At any rate, so yeah, I either way, we're gonna sit here. We're gonna be really excited about it. And one of these days, we're going to live watch
I
an
was just gonna
event.
say that we're gonna live react someday.
At least we'll somehow figure out how to play the stream, and we'll talk.
Mhm.
Maybe we can do it next show, but absolutely no promises. No promises, folks. That's
No.
a big technical undertaking,
In fact, this
right now,
whole show goes with a grain of salt. Don't make your buying purchases based on anything we've said.
right?
They're good educated guesses by a couple of nerdy guys that pay way too much attention to this stuff. But if you need something, the best time to buy it is when you need it.
That's the truth, and I think that's a good thing to remind folks. Again, going back to what you said with world events too. It's crazy time, and I'm my little family's going to be growing
Yeah,
in the next
congratulations.
month. So there's that too. And it looks like that date is going to be moving up by as much as 2 or 3 weeks, depending on life. So, hey Siri, stop. So we'll talk about that offline.
Yeah.
But so we'll keep our fingers crossed. March hopefully will remain a normal March, and then April, who knows?
No kidding.
So yeah, man. All right. So we'll see about next show. We'll definitely react to what we heard, whether we watch the stream together or we just go over it as we've done in the past. Either
Yeah.
way, and certainly we always welcome your feedback, our wonderful audience and friends. Please don't hesitate to hit us up on our Facebook group so that we can interact with you, and you can interact with us and share your thoughts, ideas,
Yeah.
what have you. And either way, hopefully we have a really exciting first event of 2022.
Yeah, that sounds great. Let me try something here.
Yeah, we're going to try something here.
Can you hear that?
I can.
I'm finding new features.
It's about to get all
Don, is this a
EDM.
great time for us to say goodbye to the wonderful people at home? Because we've got kicking music in the background.
Yes, we should.
And I just
We
said
gotta-
kicking because I'm old and confused.
That's okay. I'm only 4 years younger than you. Well, 3.5. Is it coming out of your stereo? Is that what you're checking?
Bass drop. That's okay. We want to talk about old manness. Bass drop, high on my list of words I hate and concepts of things that I don't like. It's called a break, people. It's called a break. It's not a bass drop. That thing's been around forever. It's been around for flipping ever.
Okay.
And jazz does it better than pop music. Let me tell you. It's called a break.
Okay.
And I don't like the word bedazzled either, or bespoke. Anything with B in front of it. Don't like it. So the world
How about
needs
Brett?
Yeah, that's okay. That's okay. But bedazzled and bespoke are two words that shouldn't even exist in the English language, and I hate that they do. So everybody needs to cut that stuff out right now. Okay? That's where I'm
right.
going to leave it.
And that was Get Off My Lawn with Brett.
Yes.
Oh. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, everybody. Well, I think that about wraps it up here for the Nerd Ensemble. Thank you very much for tuning in.
Thank you, everybody.
That's right.
We're going to slow jam our way out of here.
That's right. We're learning more every single time.
That's right. Two old middle-aged white guys signing off.
Getting hip. All right, everybody.
That's right.
Enjoy this event whenever it happens, and we will be back soon. You all take care, you fine folks.
Adios, muchachos.
Take it easy, Brett.
See you, Don.
Peace, everybody.